Well, we're spending a moment this morning with Susan Zirinsky, President and Senior Executive Producer of CBS. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my God, it's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Welcome to 8 News Now and Las Vegas. Happy to have you here.
I love Las Vegas. It's a total energy just boost. You could feel it as you get off the plane.
Do you spend much time in our city?
I used to when President Reagan was a frequent visitor because I was the White House producer, and we kind of always secretly loved coming in and out, although we didn't get to do everything we'd like to do because we're covering the president. I stood outside a lot of interesting places waiting.
I'm sure, yes, and there are more interesting places now too. So let's start kind of with the bigger picture. First of all, when it was announced that you were being named president of CBS News, the response was a resounding yes, and just you were welcomed not only by women at CBS News, but the men as well. An insightful producer, great journalist, but also they see you as a leader with a heart. How did that make you feel?
It was kind of a stunning, almost out-of-body experience. And I think that the relatability of me to the organization was that, seriously, I have had so many jobs, with the exception of anchor, that I have worked my way up through the ranks. I was in college when I started. I was hired 2 weeks after the Watergate break-in. I worked Saturdays as a desk assistant. So I have really had every single low-level, mid-level, upper-level job on the production side. And I think for people at CBS, and you know, we're doing a reset, they felt that they had an advocate, because somebody in a job that makes policy and does change, if that person really understands what does it take to produce a show, what does it mean for the reporters and the producers who are on the road, who do time away from their families, I think that the celebratory feel was, oh, she gets it, she understands. And as I try to, you know, really put people in, just as I really try to put people in the right places, I'm really thinking as a producer, because that's what we do. Management is important, I totally get it, but you have to produce to success. That's what I think people felt when I got the job. Oh, she knows, she can produce. She'll help move us out of this, you know, just difficult place.
So your vision, I'm sure you have a vision for CBS News, but let's talk about the viewer for a moment, because, right, we're all here working for the viewers on the other side. So is the average viewer, I've heard through my years of being in television, that there's an average viewer that we're always trying to please and communicate to. Is that changing? Is there an average viewer anymore?
I think that's dead. I mean, I think we are entering into a new era where both linear and digital have to merge. We really need to be on every platform available. That's legacy broadcast, your own early and your middays and your evening. Yes, you have to be there for the audience that is consuming it in the linear fashion. But we now also have to be mindful, most people are watching it on their phones. Most people are listening to podcasts. So there is a cacophony of voices coming at us. But we as journalists, as television journalists and running the station here, we have to be mindful that we need to be on as many platforms as we can to serve the audience, so that it could be in your homes, it can be in your cars, it can be your kids on the, you know, on the bleachers. We have to be everywhere. If you look at a pie chart where people are consuming their news, the linear is quite skinny slice, a Weight Watchers slice of pie, and the digital is just, it's like Pac-Man, it's eating us up. So that's where I feel that we are new era, more platforms, and it's really exciting.
What kind of viewer are you? Describe yourself as a viewer of news.
Well, I'm a bizarre viewer of news because I have not sat on a couch in about 6 years. I watch everything on my phone. I like CBS's All Access, a little plug for CBS All Access. And I am a voracious consumer of news, obviously all of CBS News, but I do watch the competition. I watch, the primetime competitions on ABC, NBC, CNN, and I'm interested in documentaries. So I really find myself gravitating towards big projects on the SVODs that are available, the Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu's, but also for big deal projects on all networks, because if they're doing something that I didn't think of, I'm thinking, maybe next time I'll think of that. But truthfully, I'm usually I feel like I'm ahead of the game.
So your vision for leading CBS News, are you going to make some changes, take CBS in a different direction? How are you going to get CBS News to the viewers, and how are we going to consume CBS differently? Is it going to be different for us? Are we going to see CBS come across our air differently?
I think what you will see is that we're going to take the legacy and the tradition of CBS News and we're going to expand it out. I think we need a modern reset. Are people in the right places? And so that's what we're looking at, top to bottom. How do we make the shows more relatable, as well as sharpening the focus of the broadcast? We're looking at everything. And I believe that the CBS of the future, over the next weeks and months, will have a bit of a different feel. We are mindful that it's imperative to break down the silos. And that's a natural evolution. You have your evening news, your CBS This Morning, 60, 48 hours. You're trying to succeed in your own platform. But right now, I'm breaking down the silos because I think everything has to interconnect and everything has to be on that digital train. You still will be linear. We'll still be on CBS Radio. But adding the dimension of digital to all assets is the path to the future. You cannot exist in this world without having a digital footprint. And so we're now in the process of combining all of our content forms. But the interesting thing is tech changes, delivery changes, but the mission doesn't. You must deliver strong, journalistically sound content, and that's what we do best. So I want to embrace the legacy of what was so great, and what is, we've never lost, so great about CBS, and then take it and add to the tech. This is where the delivery systems and the advent of new technology, that shouldn't scare people. That's a gift from God in terms of getting our great content to more people on more platforms. And it's really exciting to me.
It's a lot to keep up on. It's a lot to learn. We're all learning.
If you told me 5 years ago that I would be desperate to put every show on my little mobile phone, I'd have asked you for a little bit of that cocktail that you were having. Now, if it exists, I want to be on it. I want to be on it in every way possible.
Key to success.
Key to success for the future.
Okay. All right. More female executive producers. Is it a natural progression? Is it a design? How do you see women in news at CBS and everywhere?
Look, I think that we have come through a year of Me Too, and some people might think, oh, well, we had it, we experienced it, it's over. It's not over, it's a mindset. And I do think that there isn't a single person, not only in our business or in Hollywood, in every business that hasn't been touched and mindful of how behavior has to change. But I think really, yes, that you do see more women moving into higher positions, but it's really about the best person for the job. We're inclusive, and inclusive means mindful, and mindful means empowering. And I really believe that while you will see women who might not have put themselves out there a couple of years ago, are more aggressive about putting themselves in positions. They may have said, oh, I'll never get it. They won't think of me. I think that piece of the puzzle, erased. But I think in terms of making decisions, it's the best person for the job. And as a kid, when I started at CBS 2 weeks after the Watergate break-in, it didn't occur to me that I was a young woman coming up in the field until I had to deliver an envelope to Leslie Stahl's desk. I couldn't find it in the Washington Bureau. And finally, it was in a back hallway. It was like a tiny little desk. It was like Alice in Wonderland. I'd fallen through the looking glass. And she was breaking stories right and left, and I thought, aha, there's an issue here. And that was my first wake-up call. Now, I think they're carving her face on Mount Rushmore. I mean, you know, so there is the debts of history are coming due.
And bringing up the Me Too, I just have to ask you, as a woman in news, do you feel more of a sense of responsibility to keep covering those stories, to cover them differently, keep them alive in the news, or just let the news make itself? How do you feel?
I think you're right. You have to let the news make itself. We don't have an agenda, but we do have a responsibility as things evolve. You know, what's important, what adds context and perspective. So I think we're not on this, you know, jihad of reporting every story on the Me Too movement. It has to qualify as newsworthy. It has to be something that is of value to the audience. But it isn't over, but we are over thinking a certain way, and I think the evolution of that thinking is pretty exciting.
Let's get to some fun stuff.
Uh-oh.
Just right quick. It's all right, so the Holly Hunter character in broadcast news. You're the inspiration, everybody knows it, the character was fashioned after you. Do you think that Jane Craig was just like Susan Zirinsky, or did they miss a beat somewhere?
No, sadly, I would like to say that they missed a beat, but there was a closeness to it. I was with Holly Hunter at some event, and a different movie, and this guy comes up and says, you know, my favorite character is that unbelievable, psychotic, compulsive, like nuts producer. And I'm just standing there, and Holly says, well, this is actually her. You know, it was a movie, and yet every time I get in a cab and I give directions, the person with me usually goes, Holly moment. You know, I think James L. Brooks, the writer, captured an era in broadcast journalism, a hard time actually, but the quirks were pretty close. They were pretty close, and it's interesting, when I was named to the presidency, Holly was at an event given to celebrate, and she kept something for 30 years, and it was the name of the character. It said Jane Craig, bureau chief, and she said, this is the only thing I ever took from the set, but I think you deserve it now.
What a great gift.
It was very cool.
That's a great gift.
It was really cool.
Now, and I hear a little rumor that you carry an Edna Mode little...
I don't carry them, but people are sending them to me. It's a little frightening. I may have to change my haircut because it is like crazy. Well, it was funny because Holly actually was in the first movie as the voice of the mom. So she ripped off a poster, and like 12 years later, it's back at McDonald's as a Happy Meal. So yes, I'm mindful that I resemble Edna Mode.
In any other way other than just looks?
No, I'll leave it at that.
You're much cuter if it matters.
Yeah, thanks.
It's much more attractive.
Well, somebody once mistakenly thought I was Linda Hunt from NCIS LA at the airport, and I'm looking at this TSA woman, and she goes, I know who you are, and I'm like, what will you do? She goes, you're on my favorite show. I said, what show? NCIS LA. And I looked at her, I said, do you mean Linda Hunt? Yes, the glasses. I said, she's 80. I said, she's 80 years old. It was a little tough for me.
Yeah, I hope she regretted that after she said it. So last question, what would you like to accomplish as you're leading CBS News, and before you leave, would you like to leave a legacy at CBS?
Let me take the first question. I think the challenge is to pull in and recognize the incredible talent that exists at CBS News right now. We have legacy broadcasts, the evening news, CBS This Morning, 60 Minutes, 48 Hours, Sunday morning, our Saturday morning, it's like a jewel in the crown, Face the Nation. And we have people that work so hard at the craft. It's a calling. Like, this is not, it's a public service to people. And I think people, you know, a lot of stuff goes down and there's stuff in the papers. They don't appreciate the absolute dedication to the craft. And if I can achieve one thing, it's put CBS on a chart, on a path that really allows people to recognize the serious nature of what we do. we have no agenda. We are party neutral. We are there to report what we see. We're there to report facts versus fiction. You know, we've had some incredible exclusives lately. You know, and our correspondent Charlie Daggett in Syria, you know, when ISIS was falling, I mean, the man hadn't had a shower in 3 weeks. This is really the dedication of the people that I represent, and I can become teary because I don't think the public often appreciates what people give up to be journalists, to be CBS News journalists, and that's what I want people to understand. It's a life calling, and so that's what I hope is my legacy, to have that understanding really brought back. And you know, a lot of people don't know who Edward R. Murrow was, but I want the feeling of the Murrow days wrapped in modern technology.
Wonderful. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add, talk about?
No, can you represent me on my new contract?
I
I
sure
think
can.
you did really well.
I'd love to. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Very nice.
you. Thank
That was a
you.
nice interview.
Thank you.